Hey guys, it's Chris. Do you know what the largest statue in the world is? From a gift from one country to another to representations of legendary figures. Join me as I reveal 8 of the largest statues in the world. Number 8. Grand Buddha Lingshan, China. In the world, the figure known as Buddha is hailed as one of the most important figures in religious history, to the extent that many nations have a statue or statues of Buddha in their country to celebrate him and allow those who partake in the Buddhist faith to worship or pay homage to him. One such place is in Lingshan, China. The statue itself was finished in 1996, and it stands 88 meters tall, as well as weighing around 700 tons, making this a truly substantial statue. You'll specifically find the statue south of the Lingshan mountain, near Shan, town of Oshi, Jiangsu Province, People's Republic of China. The statue is not just a popular spot for Buddhists, but also a very popular tourist attraction. The statue sits on 74 acres of land, and aside from the statue, the land has many other religious and important sites, including temples for worship. In the last decade or so, a 5 Signets Palace and a Hindu-inspired Brahma Palace was put there, adding even more to the location. What about you? Have you been there? Let me know in the comments below. Number 7. Statue of Liberty. In the United States of America, few statues mean more to the country than that of the Statue of Liberty. This monument to the nation is just over 300 feet tall, with the pedestal and the foundation included, and has been standing on Liberty Island since 1886. What many people forget was that this statue was not actually made by an American. Rather, it was made by a Frenchman. 2, in fact, depending on how you look at it. First was French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, and its metal framework was built by Gustave Eiffel. Yes, of the Eiffel Tower fame. What's more, because of the troubles in France at the time of the Revolutionary War, the statue itself couldn't be made until the 1870s. As if that wasn't enough, the statue had trouble getting the funding it needed. So some famous names, including Joseph Pulitzer, did fundraisers to help get it finished. Once built in France, it was shipped to the United States in crates, and it was assembled on the island. The Statue of Liberty is held to a high standard and honor. For many immigrants, seeing Lady Liberty from Ellis Island was proof that they'd made it to their new home. She's seen as one of the important symbols of America, even to this day, and has been featured in all sorts of movies, TV shows, and even cartoons. Her upkeep has been maintained over the years, including getting a brand new overcoat as the old one had been fading. I mean, let's face it, even in movies about the apocalypse and the end of the world, she's almost always there. Number 6. Grand Buddha of Thailand. Another grand statue of Buddha can be found in Thailand. In fact, this great Buddha statue is the tallest statue in the country's history, standing 302 feet tall. It's the 2nd tallest statue in Southeast Asia and the 7th tallest in the world. The construction of this statue took place in 1990 to start, but it didn't finish until 2008. A large reason for this was the materials that were used for its construction. The entire Buddha is made from concrete. Then once all that was completed, the entire structure was covered with gold paint. A big part of its construction was following the ways of Theravada Buddhism, to which it follows its principles to the letter, in honor of King Bhumibol. Also, unlike other Buddha statues, this one features the cross-legged pose instead of the Buddha being in a standing one. I guess that kind of adds a variety of sorts, but one that no doubt added a ton of difficulty to its construction. For those who want to visit it, you can find the statue in the Wat Mu Wang Temple in Ang Thong Province. Though given its size, you'll be able to see it much further away. The statue was funded by Buddhist monks who felt that this statue was a way of earning merit, while the statue itself was made not just for Buddha, but to commemorate King Bhumibol of Thailand. Number 5. Peter the Great statue. In Russia, you'll see a statue that's made in honor and reverence to the first emperor of the nation, Peter the Great. This statue stands at 322 feet tall, and not only features the man, but an entire legion of ships that he's standing upon. The statue was made by Georgian designer Zurabi Tsereteli and used 600 tons of stainless steel and bronze, putting the statue at total weight at about 1,000 tons. If you're curious why Peter is standing on the ships, it's because it was Peter the Great that established the Russian Navy. And the statue itself was built not just to honor Peter, but also to honor 300 years of history in the Russian Navy, which would make the Navy part of Peter the Great's legacy, outside of him ruling Russia for over 43 years. However, despite the interesting nature and history of the statue, many are quick to point out that there's a lot of controversy with it as well, mainly in that some people find it kinda ugly. It has even been voted one of the ugliest buildings and ugliest statues in the world today. A strange thing that people point out is that Peter the Great statue is in Moscow, which he didn't like during his reign. So much so that he moved the capital of Russia to St. Petersburg. So why not put the statue there? In 2010, the statue was offered to St. Petersburg by Moscow officials, but they refused to take it. Number 4. Sendai Daikannon. Located in Sendai, Japan, on top of a hill, you'll find one of the tallest statues in the world, and the tallest statue of a goddess in Japan. Dedicated to the Japanese rendition of the Buddhist Bodhisattva, she is the Nyoiran Kannon. The position of the statue in terms of its body and arms is very much intentional. In her right hand is a jewel, of which it's said that she'll grant wishes, and in her left hand is a water flask, of which she will use to pour out the waters of wisdom. Due to the statue being on the top of a hill, those who visit the statue will be greeted by a great view of the city. But it doesn't have to stop there, because there are also elevators within the statue that'll take you to the top and give you an even grander view, but for a small fee. But also inside the statue are many more statues of Buddha, as well as many statues of mythical kings said to have ruled Japan in the past. While she was once the tallest statue in the world, she now ranks 5th. Number 3. Mount Rushmore. While not the typical type of sculpture or statue, the history of Mount Rushmore is one that's still rather interesting. And to this day, Mount Rushmore is one of the most visited monuments both in the United States and the world. The person behind the idea of Mount Rushmore was Doane Robinson, and they wanted it there in South Dakota for the purest of reasons: tourism. At the time, not many people visited South Dakota, despite it being, in their minds anyways, a rather beautiful place. Originally, the monument was supposed to be legends of the Wild West, including Lewis and Clark, Native American leader Red Cloud, and Buffalo Bill Cody. Eventually, though, the idea of putting the presidents on there came about, and it was deemed a more popular and historical idea, with the selection of the presidents being based on the principles they used to expand and build the country: creation, expansion, unification, and preservation. Each president's face is 60 feet in height, and each face was carved out with a mixture of hand tools and dynamite. It covers 2 square miles. Construction began around 1927 and then took 14 years to finish. Though, just to be clear, it was deemed finished because they ran out of money for the project. There was even a bill going around to include women's rights advocate Susan B. Anthony on it after the presidents were done, but lack of funding shot that down. To Robinson's credit, though, Mount Rushmore did indeed bring more people to South Dakota, as it's visited by millions of people every year, which just so happens to be more than the actual amount of people that live in South Dakota. Here's a fun fact: the direction that Mount Rushmore is pointed is very intentional, as it allows the sun to shine upon the mountain for a very long amount of time every day. Number 2. Spring Temple Buddha. Found in Henan, China, the Spring Temple Buddha is the 2nd largest statue in the world, and the largest Buddha statue on the planet. The first construction of the statue began in 1997, and it took 11 years for it to be completed and unveiled in full in 2008. What's unique about this particular Buddha statue is that it stands on a 20-meter tall lotus throne, consisting of 1,100 pieces of copper cast, and it stands 154 meters tall. The name of the statue is not derived from the seasons, but rather via a hot spring that's located near the Buddha statue, one that's said to have very renowned curative properties. And beneath the statue is a Buddhist monastery. The statue in total took about $55 million to make. Number 1. Statue of Unity. The Statue of Unity is a massive statue and sculpture of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who's one of the most important figures in Indian history. In fact, he was the first Home Minister of independent India and the chief adherent of Mahatma Gandhi during the non-violent Indian independence movement. It was with his guidance that India went from 562 separated states to one union. The statue can be found in the state of Gujarat. The statue itself was only made recently, as plans for the statue were only revealed in 2010, with first construction starting in 2013, and then the inauguration of the statue happening in 2018. On the 143rd anniversary of Patel's birth. Not only is the statue a major symbol of the history and independence of India, it's also a major tourist attraction. Within the first 5 months of opening, over 1.5 million people came to visit the statue, and it's visited by thousands every weekend. It's estimated that tourism brought in by the statue has created 15,000 jobs for the country, showing that even in death and as a statue, Patel is still bringing joy to India. Thanks for watching. What did you think about these amazing large sculptures? Which ones do you think were the most impressive? Which ones would you kind of like to visit? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you next time.